Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 2 versus 2 on Colombelles, and in this one I'm going to be playing the 116th Panzer Division. I'm also playing with Betts, who is going to be using the 17th SS Panzer Grenadiers, and I'm playing against Bobblehead and Leviathan, who are using the Guards Armoured and 101st Airborne respectively. So in this game, it was a very interesting one. It was one of the first games, or probably the second game that I've ever played with the 116th Panzer. I really am not familiar with how the deck plays or like the best things to do with the deck, so I kind of went for a very armoured push, which is generally something that I tend to shy away from because I believe that armour's incredibly fragile early on. And I like to have like AT guns, for example, because they're generally there to be a lot better in Phase A. However, I think with the 116th, you kind of need to rely on your tanks in Phase A as opposed to AT guns because of the veterancy of your tanks. And if you don't use them in Phase A, you're kind of wasting them. So that's kind of what I'm going for here. And this was a game that lasted a very long time. It's a game that has a lot of mistakes and a lot of interesting plays throughout the game. So it's really something that I thought I would want to bring to you guys because it's just almost my learning experience with the 116th Panzer. Not something that I'm particularly familiar with, a lot like the 3rd Fallschirmjägers. And you guys have been asking me to play these decks, and this is like the first of those videos where I'm going to be going through a bunch of gameplays where I'm playing games I'm not familiar with the decks, and hopefully they'll prove to be interesting games, and this one certainly was one of those. So if we actually jump down into the spawn, we can see that I'm bringing in a Panzer III-M. These are the Panzer IIIs with the side armour, and basically 2-star veterancy with the 10 AP power and the 7 front armour. Pretty decent tanks, but yeah, the veterancy is really what makes them good. And I've got an SPW 232 following it up in order to provide the extra veterancy, because you can get SPW 232s in Phase A, and that's really, really nice. I'm also following it up with a SPW 234, and the best thing about these guys is their high optics, and they also have the 9 HE power, so they can spot AT guns for you and engage them at max range, which is really nice. I've also got some Speertrupp with the SDKFZ 251. The 251 is just going to move forwards and push the front line. 2343 is actually engaging some infantry here, and the half tracks that have just dropped out up there. And over on the left side I've got an SPW 232 with a Flampanzer, and I've also got an MG42 squad and a Panzer Grenadier squad with their respective half tracks. So I've put quite a lot over into this left side, but I'm still pretty strong on over here. I've got my Panzer III supported by the 232, and what I'm going to do is pretty much swing this Panzer III over to the left side to engage the AEC Mark III. That's the plan at the moment. I'm also going to be moving my recon unit with them, but I kind of need to remain at distance here because I don't want the AEC to get like a free kill onto my Panzer III. So I do have to be very careful. Over on this left side, my 3-star half-track is engaging some infantry in the open there. And that's the beauty of the Windhund, is that they do get these very high veterancy units in Phase A, but they don't actually get too many of them, so you actually have a serious lack of infantry if you're not too careful. Fortunately, because I'm playing on a larger map, the lack of infantry isn't as much of an issue, honestly, especially like in a wide open map like this, like Colombelles, where this left side is actually really open. So anyway, this AEC is going to go down to my Panzer III, and over on this left side take out the Willys MMG, and that basically tells me there's a recon squad there. Generally people don't bring in the Willys MMG unless it's with a recon squad, so you can generally tell. I'm moving up my Flampanzer to assist my half-track and the 232 in engaging this half-track and any infantry that might have dropped off. I'm also moving forwards my MG42 here on the left, and I'm also going to be moving forwards my Panzer Grenadiers soon in order to engage infantry in this forest. So AT gun is spotted here. That's going to be taken on by this half track, but the second shot is going to blow up the half track, so that's a little bit of an issue. I can't really engage that with the Flam Panzer, but what I'm going to try and do, since it's firing at the far half track, is get the 232 on target here. Now what's going to happen is a Piat squad, or the rifle leader here with the Piat, is going to try and have a go at my 232 and force me to fall back from that engagement. I nearly stunned the 6-pounder there and got rid of it, but now there's a command Cromwell coming down the road, and that's going to be engaging my half track there. My units over on this side aren't really doing too much at the moment. I can't really move them up because I don't want to get hit by this AT gun. I'm moving up my Flam Panzer though, just trying to get rid of the rifle leader in the forest there, but then that's going to get popped by the command Cromwell. I've just got to be really careful. I'm using this half track now to engage the 6-pounder instead, and my Panzer Grenadiers are now rushing down this recce squad that I probably knew would be here. So basically using the SPW-232 alongside the Panzer Grenadiers to clean those out. And then I've basically pushed them out of this little forest area. This half track's managing to get away from the Cromwell for now until it gets finally popped. And I've just moved my SPW-232 behind the forest so that that can't be shot at either. Did manage to clear up the 6-pounder there. If we jump to the neutral perspective, no 6-pounder in sight. Over here, my SPW-232 and Panzer III could probably move forwards now through this gap. However, I was really worried about there being something on the right side, and if I jumped to the neutral perspective, I was rightly worried, because there's a 6-pounder here that's currently moving over to the left side, and he's actually just brought in a 6-pounder from spawn again to replace the one he lost. So yeah, I'm being cautious here in moving forwards the Panzer IIIs. I don't want that to get that ambushed. There is a Stuart coming up the road. I can tell that because you can zoom in on the silhouette and find out what it is. Over here, the rifle squad's being pinned down by the 232s, the half tracks, and so on. Just trying to get rid of them and rush them with the spear troop. Bubblehead was trying to fast move the command Cromwell down the road to try and get line of sight onto my SPW-232, but as you can see, I just skirted around the edge of the forest to avoid the line of sight there, and taking out that rifle squad pushes forwards the front line even more so. So we're currently sitting at a 52% lead. I'm playing relatively aggressively here, and I've also brought up another Panzer III, 232 and 2343 combo on the right side. So my Panzer III is trying to engage the Stuart there and does manage to make that bail out, which is great. Also going to blow it up, so doing relatively well. I'm aware that I briefly spotted the AT gun here, but I'm pretty happy that if I can get my recon on target and the 232, we can take that out. So I'm actually going to go for this push, and generally these kinds of engagements are very risky in the sense that you're playing with fire and you have a chance that this won't go in your favour. So here is the AT gun, it showed itself. Second shot is actually going to blow up my Panzer III, and like I was saying, you're playing with fire, and the Panzer III is going to go down there at the cost of the AT gun, which isn't the best trade in the world, but Panzer III has already paid itself off, so it's not so bad, but still not the most ideal outcome, because now I don't have anything significant on this left side, like no tanks that can really hold things off. I'm bringing up some spear troop now to the middle, just to provide me some recon up this road, and also the half track there pushes back the front line. On the right side, we lost this little compound here, so I'm bringing up an SPW-232 supported by the MG42 just to make sure that that's got the extra veterancy to engage the troops who will be coming up against. And you can see here, unit coming out into the open is going to be jumping into the building on the right side. This is an airborne engineers. They're actually missing my half track quite a lot as it drives along. That's going to allow my 232 to get on target, and the MG42 is also going to be able to run into that building and start engaging those squads. So another 6-pounder on the left side. This spear troop really provided me with nice recon throughout the game. Panzer Grenadiers are waiting here to deal with the command carrier. Looks like this Stuart popped one of my half tracks down the road, and now it's going for my 234-3, which is less than ideal since I didn't have the 232 close enough to give that the command star. This half track here is going to be popped by the Command Cromwell as it moves to the right side, and I'm still struggling with my tank engagements on this left side because I don't have any like AT guns and so on. So I'm bringing up a Panzer III to counter the Cromwell, but the Cromwell is still pretty decent, so got to be a bit worried about how I do this. Panzer Grenadiers do kill off the command carrier, so that's nice. Pushes back the front line a little bit for a little while. The half-track dying here means that there is this big old gap in our front line, but that's going to be closed upon quickly from either sides. I've got the 232 and the recon car here coming over to engage the, or well, join the other armoured cars on the right side. Over on the left, Command Cromwell does pick off my Panzer III with like its second shot again, and actually I think it was a first shot. Yeah, I think it might have been a first shot. The Command Cromwell just like one-banged my Panzer III, which was really, really unfortunate and basically put me in such a bad position here because that Command Cromwell was doing so much work. And one thing I learnt in this game was that the Guards Armoured is probably the best counter to the 116th Panzer in this game. When you're played like 1v1 and just like directly against each other in 2v2 and 3v3 and so on, because I found that the Guards Armoured always has like just that little bit better armor than the Windhund can bring out, because the Windhund relies a lot on these like armoured cars and so on, the 232s, the 234s, and the other recon vehicles you can get alongside like high vet Panzer IIIs, but when you're playing against the Guards Armoured, they can bring in like Cromwells, and honestly they just have that little bit extra penetration chance that really makes a lot of difference. So here what's going to happen is my Panzer III is going to engage the Stuart, but the Stuart's going to one-shot my Panzer III, and well, 3-star veterancy isn't going to help my Panzer III there. And I knew the Stuart was there. I was again going for like luck of the draw really, engaging that Stuart at such close range, and it just didn't work out. I couldn't get the aim time on target, and since Stuarts have such a low aim time, I should have been well aware of that. So that was kind of my fault. I really shouldn't have engaged at that close range. I should have just been patient, brought up these AT guns like I'm doing now, and then gone for that engagement. Now over here, the 232 is going to get popped by the AT gun as it moves across the open, so another unit going down, and things aren't looking great on my left side. I'm pretty sparse in terms of units. I'm having to withdraw my 232 and the 243 as well, because the Stuart, if it comes down this road, could easily wreck those units. Now over on this right side, my MG42 are doing a fantastic job of helping pin down some of the infantry that's trying to come down the road, and I also have my 232 there that was engaged by an AT gun in the bottom side of this tree line here. I did end up just fire positioning that until it died, so that was one way to get rid of it. Now in this little forest patch, some rifles engaging my Panzer Grenadiers along with the Cromwell fire support there. I'm forced to bring up even more Panzer IIIs to try and engage this Cromwell again, just hoping that the engagement goes in my favour this time round. I'm also bringing up an AT gun to help me out. Yeah, these MG42s, they really did a good job for me throughout the game. This one was constantly pinning down infantry on the left side, and this one was pinning down infantry in between the factory and my left side. Betz was doing pretty well in the factory. He managed to break all the way through in the factory, but he constantly struggled to maintain the right side because of just the way in which his forces were spread there. Over on this left, Panzer Grenadiers do finally go down. And what I'm trying to do is get the engagement with the Panzer IIIs onto the Command Cromwells. Also going to be bringing over a recon vehicle to assist these units, and also the 232s coming over to provide its autocannon fire support. And this is one thing that's really nice about the Windhund, is because a lot of their units are actually motorised, they have the wheels, they can quickly travel from one flank to another and really help you push your advantage in a certain area. In this case, I'm bringing over these units to quite simply assist my push back against Bobblehead. This Pak 38 did manage to get a couple shots at the Cromwell, but missed. And the worst thing about these Pak 38s as the Windhund is that they have no veterancy, so they're actually pretty damn terrible. We are into Phase B though, so I gain access to more infantry, and these are 3 units of Panzer Grenadiers moving to their locations to capture these forests and hold the front line, assist my AT guns and make sure they don't get overrun by enemy infantry and so on. So the rifles are getting shots onto my Pack 38 there. The Command Cromwell's going to be getting a shot close onto my 232. I see that aiming. I don't want that to hit. What happens on this right side, I'm not entirely sure. I think it was like an AT gun. Or, no, the Firefly came out of nowhere, yeah, and popped my 232. The Command Cromwell does finally go down to the Panzer IIIs, which was good. But yeah, this Firefly is now on the field, and you can see now that I can see that. B-26B Marauders coming in. And that's going to be dropping bombs onto my vehicles. I see it coming, so I spread out as quickly as possible. You can see all of my units just going in different directions to make sure that bombing strike isn't effective and I don't start to get run over by this Firefly. Because the Firefly is really a big deal at the moment. That's 16 AP and 11 armor. And as the Windhund, the only decent stuff you get in Phase B is like Panzer IVs. And Panzer IVs are terrible against Fireflies. So these Fireflies are a big issue, and the Guards Armoured bringing those out is a problem for me. I can't engage them properly with the Panzer IIIs because I'm outranged. So my best bet here is just to get the AT gun onto target, and just keep basically set up AT ambushes. But again, at the same time, the Windhund doesn't have great AT options. So I'm in this kind of weird spot at the moment in this game where the 116th doesn't really have a counter to opposing tanks, which is a very odd place to be in as the Germans, and wasn't something I was used to at all. Spitfire bomber comes in, does force me to fall back these Panzer Grenadiers as they were coming to assist the against the rifles for the Pack 38. Betz is going to be bringing in the Focke-Wulf 190. We really want to stop this air support as best we can. But yeah, I'm just having to be really cautious with my Panzer IIIs at the moment, make sure they don't get into range of this Firefly. They can probably try and take on the Sherman, but again, the Sherman has 11 armor when I only have like 8 and 10 AP power, so at max range, I'm going to be a lot less effective than he is versus me. So this Sherman 5 is really going to do a lot of work. So, I've mentioned before that one-man Panzer Grenadier squads can be really useful, so this is something that I tend to do, is just put them on return fire and hide them somewhere, and then they can be like a little ambush troop on their own. I've got this Panzer Grenadier that was forced to fall back, that's heading towards those rifles, now supported by the half-track. Enemy squad did come into the top side of this forest patch here, so that's forcing my AT gun back, and the Spear Trooper moving forwards. Panzer III is being engaged by the AT gun here, so I'm going to use this Panzerwerfer to pretty much demolish not only a rifle leader squad but also the AT gun there, and that was actually a pretty nice strike by my Panzerwerfer. So I'm just going to continue to play it careful. Like I was saying, I've got this AT gun that's still here. It's going to be going for shots onto the Sherman 5, but with no veterancy is pretty much very unlikely to hit. Same here, Pack 38 trying to go for the Stuart. It literally direct hit it there, 6 armor, 10 AP, and I didn't get a penetration, and just not being particularly lucky at the moment, that's for sure. See, missing every single time. And yes, it has no veterancy, so that's more than likely, but it would be nice to eventually get a hit, and finally, there we go. The track's broken onto the Stuart, and ammo explosion, brilliant. Okay, but that's going to cost me the AT gun, as the rifles come up and take that out. Panzer Grenadiers on the right side have quite swiftly dealt with some Panzer or airborne engineers that have been pushing them. And over here, this large amount of infantry is going to force me to move over my MG42 to the left side building eventually. 232 just remaining behind the building there to give the extra veterancy. Grasshopper's going to go down, which was brought in to provide recon. We do shoot down one of the Mustang bombers thanks to Betz's Focke-Wulf 190 as well. So getting a couple of air kills there, which is relatively nice. But I'm still struggling over here. I have nothing to deal with these Fireflies. Like, the Fireflies are just hell for me at the moment. And they're supported by a Command Sherman now, so that even has the 1-star veterancy that will make it hit so much more often. A lot of people ask me, like, what is the effectiveness of stars? Basically, it, on average, improves the, like, A unit by roughly 15% combat efficiency, which, in terms of aiming, is quite a lot. You know, you're going to be hitting a relatively higher amount of hits than you were before. Over on the left side, MG42, going to work onto a Vickers HMG there, at max range. Going to be moving these Panzer IIIs into the town properly, because the Fireflies and so on are moving down in the open. And what I want to do is try and get them as close as possible to my tanks. So here I'm just trying to, like, fast move my units to the left side. There is an AT gun though here, and I'm going to have to engage that. So the 234 is going to engage that and pin it down, but what ends up happening is the 234 dies to the second shot of the 6-pounder. I was getting pretty salty at this point. It was kind of annoying me that his unvetted 6-pounder managed to two-shot my recon vehicle. That kind of annoyed me. And now here comes the bomber again to ruin my day. So there goes the rifle squad. B-26B Marauder's going to come in and blow up my AT gun and force my Panzer III to fall back. Now this is a big issue, because if we jump to the neutral perspective, there's this Sherman 5 here. This Sherman 5 can easily take on all of my Panzer IIIs on its own. I've got my Panzer IV here with a SPW 232 engaging the Sherman 5 up the road, and I'm keeping that on the right side of this tree line so that it can't be engaged by the Sherman 5 and Firefly on the left. So it's pretty much damage control all over the place at the moment. Got my MG42 into the position here now, using my half-tracks and the 232s to engage all of these infantry, make sure that doesn't happen. The Sherman 5 actually one-bangs my Panzer IV, like one-shots it, and yeah, that was again a pretty annoying shot to occur. I think my Panzer IV shot and missed, and then yeah, the Sherman 5 just like one-shot my tank, so I wasn't having too much fun at this point, with a lot of my armor just dying with nothing to counter, and there's a second Firefly on the field and there's nothing I can do about it at the moment. I only have Panzer IVs in Phase B, but I've saved so I can get a Panther in Phase C, and here comes the Panther G. Here comes our Lord and Saviour, the Panther G, because Fireflies are pretty much the best the Guards Armoured can hold or can use, basically. So Panther G, it's a really nice matchup against a Firefly, and that's basically what I'm going for here. Currently there's one vehicle pushing through the front line, and it's actually causing them a +2 at the moment. Spitfire Mark 9 is going to try and engage my ME-109, but that is forced to fall back, and I'm just going to continue to engage that with the ME-109 until I shoot it down. Over on the right side, B-26 Marauder does go down to two of this Focke-Wulf 190 of Betts, and he's also managed to use a Ju-88 on that right side. So really, really nice by Betts. Maintaining a little bubble on this left side. Panther G, supported by a 258, is engaging some infantry out in the open. Also going to come in with the ME-109 to try and damage the morale of the 6-pounder here. Two Tempests are coming in to try and take me out. But I asked Betts if he has any fighters on hand to see if we can bait the engagement, but what ends up happening is he doesn't, so I just managed to retreat it in time. So yeah, just continuing to slam these rifles. I'm pretty happy with this at the moment. He knows that this Panther's here, he's known it's there, been there for a little while, and can quite happily engage the 6-pounder from max range with the Panther G, so I don't have to worry too much about that since the Spear Troop are spotting it. I do have a 232 here ready to give my Panther G the veterancy as well. What ended up happening over here is the little Humber that was pushing forwards did get popped by the Panther G. That was okay. We managed to push back the front line thanks to Betts bringing up a Pack 43. This was to assist with the Firefly and the Shermans. Just need to make sure these rifles don't make too much ground, and there's another probing attack on the left side, but the MG42's still got that held down. I think if the opponent here, Bubblehead, had managed to get some mortars or just like a howitzer or something to pin down this MG42. He definitely could have made some ground on this left side, but simply allowed this MG42 to pin most of his units for the majority of the game. And 6-pounder there's retreating out into the open and does get killed off, so that's nice. Panzer Grenadiers are going to find some motorized rifles and pin those guys down. And Pack 43 is going to finish off the rifle squad on the left side. So I'm a bit concerned. I don't necessarily want to push towards this Firefly, because Firefly at the moment has this really nice line of sight down to the bottom right, and if I run into that line of sight with my side armor showing for the Panther G, that Firefly is going to one-shot me. It might even one-shot me anyway, especially if we're not at max range. So I need to find something to dislodge these the Firefly and the Sherman here in order to put them into a line of sight without them being a threat. Panzer 3 here, that's just moving up to assist on the right side with these Panzer Grenadiers, provide them with some veterancy and the ability to take on the half-tracks and so on that have the potential of hitting them. Over on this left side, I've dropped off a Pack 43 that's going to engage the Firefly here, and well, 1 shot, 1 kill, 2-star veterancy, more than likely to happen, so that worked out in my favour. Really nice, got these Pack 43s available now. And yeah, just waiting on my Panther G to kill off this Firefly, so just being really careful about this, moving across my Panzer 3 again to support the infantry squads. The reason I know there's half-tracks here is because of the motorized rifles. I do need to be careful of the Sherman 5 though, since that Sherman 5 can engage my Panzer 3 and basically take it out in 1 shot, no problem. Over here, Panzer 3 still proving to be relatively useful, although it doesn't even one-shot the half-track, and that actually goes down to the MG42 in the end. But there we go, bringing up a Hummel. And this was my first choice in trying to dislodge the Firefly. Now this, in hindsight, wasn't the best choice, because as you can see, even though that's a 27 HE power round, it barely did any morale damage to the Firefly. And you only get 18 shots in these guys. They're really, really nice against, like, infantry and so on. But here what ends up happening is my Pack 43 gets into line of sight as it comes down this left hedgerow instead, and that ends up causing the killing blow. So basically the Hummel actually made the Firefly move originally, but then it just pushed it into range of the Pack 43, and the Pack 43 did the rest. So I probably didn't even need to bring in the Hummel in the end when this Pack 43 was in this position, because it would have still been able to shoot at the Sherman and the Firefly anyway. So yeah, either way I need to get rid of this Sherman 5, and myself and Betts have the same idea. I'm bringing in a Focke-Wulf 190G1 with the 15 HE power bomb to just make that fall back, and he goes for something a little bigger with the Ju-88, and that basically pushes the Sherman back into the range of my Pack 43, and boom goes the Sherman. So at this point, our opponents are ahead of us by 670 points. They're at a +1 with 53% territory lead, and they're pushing me with now Fireflies and Achilles. My Firefly, well, these Firefly and the Achilles here are going to come up against my Panther G. The Panther G has 2-star veterancy, 1 shot, 1 kill onto the Achilles. Really nice. So that's pretty likely to happen because the Achilles only has 8 armor and I have 17 AP power on the Panther G. But another shot there, going to land onto the Firefly. Big old air engagement going on as well. Focke-Wulf 190s going up against Tempests and Mustangs. We managed to make one Tempest fall back. One Mustang fall back, and I managed to shoot it down. I also managed to kill the Firefly with the Panther G. And now we've just got an engagement where it's like 3 Focke-Wulf 190s versus 2 Tempests. And we should be in a position to win that engagement if we can. So Betts is just going to break off his Focke-Wulf 190s here. What ends up happening is Bubblehead's going to retreat his Tempests. I actually get back onto them with the Focke-Wulf 190. I'm trying to go for a kill here if I can, but what's going to happen is Tempest's going to come onto the rear of my Focke-Wulf 190 out of spawn, and I'm going to be forced to retreat. So this Tempest is going hard onto my Focke-Wulf 190, and just trying to get away as quickly as possible. You can't quite catch up in time to get in range, and I managed to get out. So that was really nice. Pack 43 has found this Sherman 5. Sherman 5 just moves out of line of sight in time. Still maintaining the Panzer III and the SPW-232 on the left, and what's going to happen when the Sherman 5 moves to the left side is, boom, one shot, one kill, Panzer III, on target every time, 3-star veterancy, is finally going to get the kill. The Sherman was reversed round there to avoid the AT gun, goes straight into my Panzer III. AT guns on the left side have constantly been pinned down and killed off by the MG42, so that's been working out well for me. And at this point what we need to do is just make back the ground to make it at least a 50-50 and then push to +1 so that we can maybe win the game. So we're in a bit of a predicament here because our opponent's still counting up the points and they are ahead of us. So a 50-50 is not going to be enough to make too much of a difference. Using the Hummel there just to slam around into that tree line. Moving over the Panther G, that's just going to help try and take care of the half-track there. Panzer Grenadier squad, the one man that was left, gets killed off by this recce, but he reveals them and they go down very quickly to the Pak-43 and the other fire support available. This 50 cal is engaging my Panzer Grenadier and the half-track in the open, so going to be using the Hummel to try and pin those guys down. And I've got to be careful, because if we jump to the neutral perspective, I'm well aware that there is a Sherman 5 sitting behind this tree line right now. So what I'm trying to do is get the Panzer Grenadiers up close enough so that I can run through the tree line and destroy that. And then that's going to allow my Panther G to push through in the middle. And at this point, you've got to remember that the Fireflies do actually cost quite a lot of money. So they've lost 2 Fireflies, which is like 210 points apiece. I'm hoping really that the Panzer Grenadier does not miss their Panzerfaust and they don't let me down. Sherman 5 is going to be destroyed, and that's going to allow me to get those Panzer Grenadiers out of there. And I'm also now be able to move up fire support either side of the tree line to kill anything behind it. So half tracks are still being killed, and also my Panzer III goes down here to the 6-pounder up the road. That 6-pounder reveals itself and then is hit pretty hard by the MG42. Kind of annoying that that ended up happening though. And another 6-pounder is moving into this tree line now. Is being engaged by my Pak-43. It's trying to engage Betts's Stug 4. But these Pak-43s really can do a lot of damage, and also my Focke-Wulf 190 comes in there with a bomb just to finish that off. So Tempest is brought in, but that's going to be engaged by 2 Focke-Wulf 190s. There's 2 more Tempests coming in, and that's going to spell doom for Betts's Focke-Wulfs there. So this Tempest basically baited our engagement in the air, and Betts lost one of his units because of that. Either way, going to be moving the Panzer Grenadier through the tree line again here, even though it's being RT'd now. And that's just to allow me to get the fire support on target. So SPW-232, 258's going to be able to open up with their auto cannons and the main guns onto these targets. So we want to take out the motorized rifles there. Unfortunately, the Panzer Grenadiers do actually surrender to the rifle leader and motorized rifle, but I've revealed them now, so I can safely take care of them. I probably shouldn't have let the unit get killed there. Should have had the SPW-232 a little bit closer so that that didn't surrender. So that was a little mistake that I could have basically avoided that Panzer Grenadier unit surrendering. B-26 B Marauder coming in, that's going to blow up my Panzer Grenadiers. Not too much I can do about that, but I am going to be finishing off the 50 cal with the Panther G. M3 gun in the center is engaging one of my half tracks and is going to force that to fall back, and Betts has control of this right side now. So we gained a +1, and that's good because basically we have 8 minutes left, but it's actually not going to be enough to win. It's going to be a draw. And you can tell it's going to be a draw because it says on neither team how much time you need to win. And what's going to happen here is smoke's going to come in and actually cover off my Panther G after it gets bailed out by the motorized rifles that didn't die when I thought they did. So yeah, Panther G, that's actually knocked out now, and that was quite annoying. Yeah, Piat squad, or just a Piat there, managing to bail out a Panther. Not the best thing to ever happen in one of my games, that's for sure. Either way, 258 still pushing forwards. Panzer Grenadier still pushing against the airborne rifles there, forcing a bomber to deal with those, so that's absolutely fine. A 3-man infantry squad taking those bombs for me is okay. So now I'm moving up, this Panther G to engage things coming up the road. I'm also bringing up a Panzer 4, and I've got the Hummel here being resupplied, so I can continue to use that against enemy infantry units and so on. Over on the left side, what's going to happen is the Pak 43 actually picks off the Sherman 5, and my MG42 is still pinning down a lot of infantry as it moves across the open. So they still haven't dealt with that MG42 properly, and they kind of half-assed that engagement. What's happening here is the ME109 and my Focke-Wulf 190, they both get forced to fall back because of enemy anti-air. But fortunately, both of them managed to get out alive, so that was really lucky. Both these Mustangs failed to shoot down my planes. So 258 still engaging the airborne rifles in the open. If we jump back to the neutral perspective, we can see at the moment it's just an infantry engagement on this left side. Rifles trying to push in the open, being pinned down by the MG42. The rifles here are killing off the MG42 slowly. My Pak 43 has been pinned down here, but what's going to happen in the middle is one of the Fireflies is going to go down to the Panzer and Panther G combo. This Panther G did have its transmission damage and was able to fire at the Firefly there, so did manage to get the kill. 25 pounder is being a bit of a pain in the arse here, so I'll start firing on that soon with the Hummel. And yeah, I've got Panzer Grenadiers moving up. Yes, they're going to be pinned down by the Cromwell 7 here. But I need to have infantry to make sure that there isn't enemy infantry in these tree lines that can actually do some damage to my Panther Gs, because the last thing I need is like a motorised rifle squad to bail out another Panther G. That was not very fun. So here, just moving across the Panzer Grenadiers to engage this infantry. They're going to engage the infantry at close range here, the rifles, and those rifles are going to get demolished thanks to the 232 close range fire support. These Panzer Grenadiers can't surrender because the 232 is nearby, and now they're pretty much free to just kill off all of this infantry in the open. And as you can see, because they're 3-star infantry squad with 9 HE power on those MG42s, they basically kill off infantry squads so quickly. Air engagement going to occur here. Tempest manages to just about get away from my ME109s, and I'm forced to basically engage the second two Tempests that come in. Now, one of my Tempests was targeted on the infantry by accident, so it actually ended up killing off the infantry squad on the ground as opposed to taking out the Tempests. And now what's going to happen is, since these Tempests were withdrawn from battle, my opponent's going to lose at least one of them. I'm forced to react to the Mustang because I don't want that to get on my tail for free. So I'm now going to engage the Mustang instead with those two ME109s, and basically I should win that engagement. I'm also bringing in a Focke-Wulf 190 to provide not only the bombing strike but also just the aircraft there to help shoot down the opponents. The ME109 in the top left there manages to shoot down the Mustang eventually, so that was really nice. Artillery coming in the middle. This is some off-map hitting me now. I believe what happened was Leviathan brought in the 203mm off-map to assist Bobblehead in the centre, and that does force my Panther G to fall back, but the Jagdpanzer are still doing fine. And I'm going to use my Focke-Wulf 190s here with the bombs that they still have left to try and pin down units as they come up the road. So multiple Cromwells pushing towards me now. These are Cromwell 7s with the 11 AP and 11 armour. Not really much match for my Panther G and the Jagdpanzer. And I'm also moving up the Panzer 3 here as well to make some more ground, because we definitely need to push for this +3, otherwise it's going to be a draw. There's 3 minutes left in the game, and currently we're on 900 points. We've just overtaken the Allies, but we really need to get that +2 in order to make it a victory. So engaging the rifles here, going to be pinning those down pretty hard once they get spotted by Betts' Speertrupp. He comes over and supports me on the left side with plenty of recon, which is nice, just to allow us to spot the units in these tree lines and allow my units to continue here, since a lot of my recon has already been killed off during this game. M10 Destroyer going to be engaging my 232. Not the best engagement for the 232. And Panzer 3 is also going hard onto the M10. Panzer 3 actually has a decent chance of penning an M10, and is doing quite a lot of morale damage. 232, however, is going to go down, and the Panzer 3. The best thing I can do at this point is try and make the M10 fall back and then fall back myself, but what ends up happening is my Panzer 3 gets bailed out. So this Jagdpanzer is moving forwards. That manages to take out one of the Cromwells. I'm also using it to take out this half-track. I've got both of these Panzer Grenadier units either side. They're basically assisting me in clearing out the infantry. My Panther G with its transmission damage is slowly moving to the left side. ME-109 is going to help assist pin down the M10. It does quite a lot of morale damage against an M10 because it's an open top vehicle. And what happens here, Cromwell is going to engage my Jagdpanzer at close range and actually misses. Gives my Jagdpanzer the chance to get on target and kill it. Shooter knocked out for the Jagdpanzer, using my fighters to continuously pin down these units. I bail out another Cromwell, and I'm now going to engage the M10 and make sure I get rid of that. So one shot, one kill, boom. Okay, great. So finally, luck is in my favour. Jagdpanzer hitting its shots where it needs to. Use the planes alongside the tank there to help pin down these units and blow them up. And the brilliant thing about the Jagdpanzer is it's just so versatile. Really, really like the Jagdpanzer, and their extra armour really helps them out sometimes. So just slowly moving that up. I've got a Panzer 4 to join it, and my Panther G is rolling over to the left side. And this Panzer 3 is currently just sat there waiting to be killed. Some 232s being brought up from Betts to cover the left side, although there's not too much they can do about the Panzer 5 there. I'm pretty much suicide charging a lot of my stuff forwards now, and at the moment more off-map artillery coming in, more air engagements going on, and again my ME-109's just about managed to get out, so that was really nice. Throughout this game, Betts constantly was losing his fighters, but for some reason mine just kept getting away. I'm also helping Betts on the right side. We're pushing up here with these Pioneers and Panzer Grenadiers, and he's supporting those with the Pak 43 and the Grill as we move forwards. And we've currently got up to 60% territory, which is going to give us a minor victory in 15 seconds. We just about made the made the mark of victory there, getting just enough conquest points to push back in Phase C and really start to do damage to our opponent's decks. And there you have it. And after 40 minutes, we reach victory by just getting enough conquest points to get victory. So if we jump to the team's perspective, we can see that we did gain a minor victory, and it was a very, very fun game. It was a game that relied a lot on like mobile units like tanks and motorized vehicles, and it's something that I don't tend to do too often on my channel. I'm very much an infantry based player. I love playing with the infantry based decks, but the Windhund is very like more mobile and relies a lot on like lighter tanks compared to like their allied counterparts. So it's quite a weird deck because it relies a lot on armor and motorized vehicles, but at the same time, if you come up against any significant allied armor like Fireflies, you do actually struggle in Phase A and Phase B. In Phase A, I did lose a lot of my Panzer 3s unnecessarily. I made a lot of like risky plays with them that didn't pay off, and that's fair enough. But like moving into Phase B, I just was pure unlucky, and then Phase C, like the Panther G coming back, and then my Jagdpanzer taking all that luck back and picking off those opposing tanks like one after the other was really, really nice towards the end there. And the majority of my kills do come down to the Fireflies being killed and so on. So yeah, here we can see the minor victory, 4,635 kills to 2,325 losses. The majority of these kills was because I was playing against the Guards Armoured, and the fact that I was killing off a lot of those Fireflies and Cromwells, which are actually quite expensive. Whereas Betts on the right side, he was having a pretty hard time. 2,305 kills to 2,955 losses, but really did a good job of holding the factory throughout the game. And he ended up running out of infantry towards the end of it because he was being hard pressed so hard by the off-map artillery of the 101st. So it makes sense that he would have a few more losses than kills. Our opponents did relatively well. Bobblehead really pushed me hard in Phase B and did well to take advantage of my lack of like AT options and tank options in Phase A and B. And that was really nice to see some like strong play out of my opponents. It was really, really fun. And if we jump over to the kills, here we can see the Guards Armoured players' kills, so bobbleheads kills. And a lot of it came down to this Cromwell at the start, picking off my Panzer III and a few of my support vehicles. Stuart managed to take out a Panzer III as well. This 6-pounder picking off a few of my support vehicles. Then it was just like this Firefly didn't pay itself off. The Sherman 5 managed to pick off a Panzer IV, which was nice, and the Sherman 5 took out a Panzer III. So they're doing a relatively good amount of damage, but just not paying themselves off every time, and that really started to cost him later into the game. The Firefly took out the Stug 4, which is fair enough, but as soon as the Panthers arrived, they just completely outmatched anything that the Guards Armoured player had. If we jump over to losses, we can see my kills onto him. So this Panzer III at the start, picking off the AEC Mark III and the Stuart 6, really good job there. This Panzer III picked off the Cromwell and the Sherman 5, so that was actually really good. The Panzerwerfer did well in the sort of with its one barrage before it got bombed out by Mustangs to kill off the 6-pounder and the rifle leader for me, because that was going to get him away otherwise. And then the Panther G comes out of nowhere, destroys 2 Fireflies, an Achilles, and a Humber Mark III, and a 6-pounder AT gun. This Pack 43 also killed a Firefly, 2 Shermans. So yeah, that's pretty much what turned the game around for me. This Panther G taking out the Firefly and the rifle squad there. And Hummel taking out the 25-pounder, Jagdpanzer taking out 3 Cromwell 7s. So my points really coming in towards Phase C there, where I was cleaning up a lot of the Allied armour that was really getting in my way. And that's pretty much the story of the game. Like in Phase A, I was doing relatively okay. I managed to get control of the town, which I was quite surprised about. I kind of thought that the Allied players would invest a lot more in the town with their cheap infantry, as opposed to me just being able to jump in there with 2 squads completely uncontested. So that was, I would say, one mistake from my opponents, not contesting that town at all, because my MG42, once it was in that position, just literally denied that left side for the entire game. And he didn't do enough to really push that MG42 out of there until the end of the game, when he actually got a rifle squad right next to it. But still, at the end of the day, the Panzer Grenadier squad at 3 stars, supported by the 232, was enough to hold them back. And yeah, I think in general on that left side town was actually a big part of the game. In the center, did a good job of, like, again, exploiting the push in Phase B. That Bobblehead did a great job of that with the Humber Mark III, pushing that ahead to make sure that there wasn't anything there, then following it up with the Fireflies and so on. But he allowed himself to get flanked by my Panther G and the Pack 43, which inevitably led to the death of the first Firefly and then the rest of them. So yeah, I don't know, I think we kind of held on quite well in Phase B, as well as we could have, and that allowed us to come back for the Phase C victory. But either way, that's all guys, so hopefully you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.